بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وعلى من تبع هداهم إلى يوم الدين. We are still in the purification of the impurities, and we have said that if the text came from the Prophet ﷺ to describe the way that is something to be purified, then we have to follow that way. And we said as a principle, and we have made that clear. If we haven't, please note that down as a principle, that every najasa which has a text to describe how it is being purified, then we have to follow the way it is being described. So if that substance is other than the water, you could use the water, because the water is always, you can see, the main purifying element. So if we take, for example, talk about purifying, let's say, the shoes of yours, and you rub it in the ground as we're going to see it, we could really take the shoes to the sink or the basin and wash it with the water, no problem. But to make it simple, Sharia came to say that just rub it in the ground, that will be enough to purify it from the poo, from the urine and all of that, just to rub it in the ground. Now, the third one which we have there, or the third one, how to purify the menses of the blood, the garment, the menses blood from the garment. Menses blood, we said it is impure by the consensus of all scholars. And the menses of the blood is something that would attach itself to the underwears. So here we find the companion women asking the Prophet ﷺ about the way to purify it. Prophet of Allah in number of ahadith mentions the following. Please note down, that is, the way to purify it is, number one, you have to use water. Number two, that you have to use swell detergent, because he mentioned, for example, the lot tree, one of the ahadith. So you have to use a detergent like soap, whatever. Third one, you have to use rubbing, scrubbing, so with your fingers, rub it in order to take the blood out. Number four is to sprinkle water in the rest of it. So if you clean the spot of the blood, alhamdulillah, is good, but also sprinkle water in the rest of the underwear. That is to clean it. And finally, there is no harm if anything left. So all of that can be done by the washing machine. The washing machine will do all of that for yours. But let's say that you want to do it without the washing machine. So the underwear has to be, first of all, you have to use water. You have to use detergent. You have to scrub instead of scrubbing and scraping and to make sure that the blood will come out. And the rest of the garment, which has got no blood, you sprinkle water in case. And whatever left from the trace of the blood after all of that is no harm. So now we have understood how to purify the garment from the men's blood. Go ahead.
Purifying the bottom of the woman's dress. The next day, Ibrahim ibn Abdul Rahman ibn Auf asked Salama radiallahu anha, the wife of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, I am a woman who lets her dress drag, and I walk in filthy places. So what should I do? Salama said that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam replied, what comes after it purifies it.
This is a title which says that how to purify the bottom of the thobe of the woman, but the bottom here usually does not touch the ground these days. The bottom that he's talking about here in Arabic, dhail, a tail, because the woman, she used to have a tail dragging behind her, a tail from the clothes. Okay, these days, unfortunately, the sisters, they don't have that. They have it really above the ground. As long as there is socks to cover properly, so no problem not to have the tail. But the tail, this is, as I said, something which is extinct these days. Doesn't exist anymore. Concession from the Sharia is that you don't have to worry about whatever you pass upon, even if it's a dog poo. It doesn't matter. So that bottom of the garment, Allah made just the bottom of the garment. When it touches the poo, whatever comes after it is what? Purified. Whereas something else, if the poo comes onto it, you have to go and make sure it's cleansed, and you have to put water and all of that. So the bottom is a concession for it. So whatever it passes on, it doesn't matter. So it will purify by the purified areas of the soul. This is a concession from the Almighty Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, because in case, if it happened to be that we ask her to go to clean this, she will never put this in a long clothes. Because it's going to be really, she's going to be hard for her. She's going to be start to carry it all the time and pull it up, and every time she sees something that maybe could be impurities. But she doesn't have to worry about it now. Whatever, so the abaya, the cloak, it drags behind. So whatever goes onto the purity, it will purify, disinfect all the impurity that happened before. That's from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as a concession. Number 5.
Number 5, purifying the garment upon which a nursing baby boy has urinated. Abu Sam, servant of the Prophet, narrated that the Prophet said, the urine of the baby girl is to be washed, while that of the baby boy is to be sprinkled over.
I think we explained that before, haven't we?
Yes.
And we said why the boy is meant to be washed and why the girl should be the girl is to be washed and the boy is to be sprinkled. So it's a concession from the Sharia. Both is to be impure, but the concession from the Sharia, the unweaned baby, the nurse baby, the unweaned baby, the one who's what?
That's milk.
Only milk. Then this one, from the boy, either if he urinates, just sprinkle water. You don't have to wash the whole clothes. Just sprinkle water on top of it and that's it. Now, number 6.
Number 6, purifying the garment from al-Madi.
Al-Madi.
Sahal ibn Hunayf radiallahu anhu said, I used to suffer a lot from having al-Madi and used to wash about due to it. I mentioned that to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and he said, it is sufficient for you to make ablution from that. I said, what should I do about what falls upon my clothing? He replied, it is sufficient for you to take a handful of water and wet your clothes wherever you see any place on which it has fallen.
Right, can I ask anybody of the ones who are here, what is the Madi? What is the difference between the Madi and the Wadi? Yalla. Naam.
Wadi is when it comes out without desire, and it can be due to infection as well, and it's usually very thick. And the Madi is...
Do you feel it or you don't feel it?
You don't feel it.
You don't feel it?
Madi
So it usually comes after urination. Now.
Madi is you feel it, maybe due to sexual desire it comes out, and it's usually thinner as well.
And it does not come with lust.
Does not come with lust.
It doesn't come with ejaculation. It comes when you think about lust, but it doesn't come with lust when it's coming out. Very good. Sometimes you feel it, sometimes you don't feel it. Very good. This Madi is not like the Wadi. The Wadi is, as I said, part of the urination. But the Madi, because of Allah gave us a concession. So if you have this Madi, all you have to do is just sprinkle water. That's all. So you put water into the underwear. That would be sufficient. I don't have to take the underwear and wash it. So put just, a sprinkle of water. And you have to have this habit all the time, which is after you make istinja, you sprinkle water into your pants. And also, if you are in a place where you are not being seen, if you are making wudu, after you finish the wudu as well, what? Sprinkle water into your pants. I said when you wash yourself in the stingy room, there's nobody can see you. But when you make wudu, you might be working wudu in front of people. But if you are on your own, sprinkle water into your pants as well. That would kill the waswasa. Any waswasa will kill it, because if you find a drop into your underpants, into your underwear, and you're going to be worried, is it urine, is it not urine? Is it wadi, is it not wadi? Is it madi or is it madi? Class, because you sprinkle water in your button. So that will kill what? The waswasa, whispering of the shaitan. Now coming to the following, which is number 7.
Number 7, purifying the bottom of sandals. Abu Sa'id narrated that the Prophet ﷺ said, when one of you comes to the mosque, he should turn his sandals over and look at them. If he finds any filth in them, he should wipe them on the ground and then pray in them. Right.
Now, if you want to pray in a place where it is, it's no problem to pray with your shoes on. So if it's not a masjid, because with the masjid it's carpeted. Otherwise, if it's not carpeted, it's like the Prophet ﷺ masjid, you could pray like the companions to pray with the shoes on. So here he says that if you want to pray with the shoes, then let you look at the shoes to make sure that they are clean. So if they are not clean, they see something there, okay, then purify. So if you think that, you don't have to smell it, but if you believe, if you have more of a certainty, that you are inclined to say that this is impurity, then what you do is just to rub it against the ground, and then let you pray in it. Rub it against the ground. If you rub it in the grass, and the grass is in between, the sand can touch, it's no problem, inshallah. So if you rub it in the grass, and the grass is not really thick, it's like a bush, for example, very high, but little one where you could touch the ground, that's enough, inshallah. Number 8.
Number 8, purification of the ground and earth. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrated that a Bedouin started to urinate in the mosque. The people tried to get to him, and the Prophet ﷺ said to them, "Leave him, and pour over his urine a large bowl, a container of water. Certainly you have been sent to make things easy, and you have not been sent to make things difficult."
Right, number 8, how to purify the ground. So when the Arabi, the Bedouin man, he rented the masjid of the Prophet of Allah, he had protected him from the companions who was about to beat him up. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said to them, "What are you doing? You did not be sent to be hard and harsh onto the people. You've been sent to be easy with the people." You remember when we said that the Bedouin man came to the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "What? Oh Lord, have
mercy on me and you.
and me and you and nobody else. Have mercy on me and you and nobody else." Now that urination, if it was being left to dry up in the sun, and there's nothing left, the trace or the smell, okay, I wouldn't say the taste, we're not going to taste stones there. There's no trace of it, then is what? It's pure. Do you understand that? So what is this process of putting the water? Is to what? Hasten the purification, that's all. So you want to quick, because you want to pray there, you put water. Or you bring something to take the dirt which has been wetted with this urination. Take it out, that's it. But if you left it in the sun, who can guarantee for us on this wood that there is no urination? Can you guarantee? You can't. Could be maybe a baby here, one of these people came and urinated after he had drunk or something. You don't know. But for us, it's clean. We look at it, it's clean. Khalas, dry, there's nothing, there's no smell coming from there. Alhamdulillah. So we use it and we train upon it. And no harm, inshallah. Right. The dogs at the time of the Prophet ﷺ used to come and pass through the masjid, so there's no, proper protection into the masjid like we have these days. They used to pass by and urinate into the masjid. And the masjid, as I said, is exposed to the wind and exposed to the weather, exposed to the sun as well. The sun comes into it through the palm fronds, because they're not really waterproof, things like this. The masjid of the Prophet ﷺ is not waterproof. So if there's rain, it goes inside the masjid, and he would be making prostration into the mud. Okay, so that urination was never being cleansed, and the Prophet ﷺ never had said to go and trace wherever the urine, the urine of the dog. As long as it is dry, there's nothing there. Khalas, pray in it and it's tahar. Sunan al-Fitra. Explain it.
Sunan al-Fitra, the natural practices. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrated that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, 5 are from the natural practices: circumcision, shaving of the pubic hairs, plucking the armpit hairs, clipping the nails, and trimming the moustache.
Right. These are 5 which are all of them compulsory. I'll repeat them again. They are from the nature of fitrah. What is fitrah here? فطرة الله التي فطر الناس عليها. The fitrah is basically, it is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded His believers, especially the prophets, the messengers, to do. So it's basically a human being who his instinct, his nature has not been polluted, he should do these things. That is al-istihdad. Al-istihdad means to shave your pubic hair. And the pubic hair is the one which is around the private part, not around the backside. If you want to shave that, it's up to you to clean it around the anus. But I'm talking about the front side, that's the an. Second one is al-khitan. We're going to talk about that inshallah in as well more detail in a minute. Al-khitan, which is circumcision. And the circumcision for the male is to be compulsory. And in terms of the female, they are included in the compulsion if they have the clitoris long. Otherwise, it is not compulsory. And the third one, trimming the mustache. And the fourth one, plucking the underarm. And number 5, that is cutting the nails. Now, remember, for those, the following, that is the ana, which is the pubic, and the mustache, and the plucking of the underarms, and the last one, which is cutting the nails. You've got 40 days. 40 days. You cannot leave the nails long because of the 40 days. It's 40 days is the maximum. But once they get really long, they have to go. Some of you, I mean, I can already have 10 days except that I'm going to do them. But some even every 3 days or 4 days. They get really long. So basically, those are the fitrah, the nature. So for a human being, he started doing the opposite, then it will not be a human being. Let's add to these 5 other as well. There's a hadith which talks about more from the Surah al-Fitrah. Those are points corresponding to the nature of mankind. Is that what you translated? Surah al-Fitrah of the natural practices. Because points corresponding to the nature of mankind. Now, go ahead. Following hadith Zakaria ibn Abi Zaida عن مصعب بن شيبة عن طلق بن حبيب عن ابن الزبير عن عائشة قالت, the Prophet of Allah said, 10.
Aisha said, the Messenger of Allah said, 10 are from the natural practices: trimming the moustache, leaving the beard to grow, using the toothstick, cleaning by putting water in the nose, clipping the nails, washing the knuckles and finger joints, plucking the underarm hairs, shaving the pubic hairs, using water to clean the private parts after urinating. Zakaria then said, Mus'ab said, I have forgotten the 10th unless it is spent some time.
Actually, we're going to find that the 10th is not that in a minute. If you count those with the gargling, that is madmada, you will become 10. Because he said, I've forgotten the 10th, it's a madmada. But actually, let's start from the beginning. Trimming the mustache and letting go of the beard, these two are considered to be one. So, mustache trimming and the letting go of the beard is to be what? One. The mustache and the beard is to be one. I'm going to talk about how to do the mustache and the beard when I come to the beard in a minute, inshallah. So if we count now, there'll be 9, including the madmada. So the second one, so that's number 1, the line, trimming the mustache and letting go of the beard, that's 1. 2, siwak, that's cleaning the teeth. 3, that is putting water in the nostrils, when you make wudu. 4, cutting the nails, clipping the nails. 5, washing between the knuckles, the knuckles. And 6, plucking the underarm. The 7th, shaving the pubic. The 8th, stinja, which is washing the private parts. And the 9th is the gargling, which is pouring water in your mouth. And the 10th, which is mentioned, is one of the 5 on the top. What are they? What is it which is not being mentioned in this hadith?
Circumcision.
Circumcision. Exactly. So the 10th one will be the circumcision. So now we got, if we put this mustache and the beard 1, it become 11. But the mustache and the beard become 1, so it becomes 10. Let's now talk about them in details. Circumcision, start.
Circumcision is obligatory with respect to both men and women, as it is from the outward signs of Islam. Prophet ﷺ said to a man who embraced Islam, cut off the hairs of the time of unbelief and get circumcised. It is from the way of the Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrated that Prophet said, Ibrahim was circumcised after he had become 80 years old. Allah said to his Prophet ﷺ, ثم أوحينا إليك أن اتبع ملة إبراهيم حنيفا. Then we have inspired you, Muhammad, follow the religion of Ibrahim, the pure monotheist.
Wait. So he says here to the man who embraced Islam, remove the kufr here. What is the kufr here? Pubic hair. Very good. And then he says what? Circumcise. Of course, he embraced Islam. He wouldn't say to him, wait, don't say the Shahada until he's circumcised. He might die before he says Shahada. You say the Shahada, but as soon as you ready, you should what? Make what? Circumcision. And then, this is the millah, the way of Ibrahim alayhi salam. We've been commanded with the Prophet of Allah sallallahu to follow millat Ibrahim, the religion of Ibrahim. Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he's been commanded to circumcise, he was 80 years old. In Sahih al-Bukhari, there's a continuation of this, and he had circumcised himself bil-qaddum. It's a tool used by the carpenter, the axe. So he circumcised himself with the axe. Ibrahim alayhi salam, he lived more than 200 years. So 80 is like less than half. It's like considered to be like 40 years old at that time. So he lived for when he was 80 years old, he had circumcised himself with an axe called al-qaddum. There's an interpretation of al-qaddum to say it's a place, but the correct opinion, it is actually a tool used by the carpenter. Now, he says here, after that, it is recommended to make the circumcision on the 7th day. We say that is not right. He said, mention a hadith, both of them there are to be unauthentic, which is that the Prophet ﷺ, he had made aqiqah to Hassan and Hussein on the 7th, and he had made circumcision. As for the aqiqah, it has to be on the 7th. It's a must. We're going to talk about the aqiqah when we talk about sacrificial animals, which is well later on, at the end of the book. But before we postpone this, the aqiqah, it's a must. For the male, 2 sheep, female is 1 sheep. And it has to be on the 7th. You can't do it on the 7th because of some circumstances, then you move it to the 14th. Not from the beginning. 7th is the date. Then you move it to the 14th. If you can't move it to the 14th, if you can't do it on the 14th, then you move it to the 21st. And if you don't do it on the 21st, there's no way for you to do it at all. Your son, that's it, it's finished, it's gone. Because it's timed, just like the udhiyah. If you miss the udhiyah, you can't do it the following, after 4 days it's finished, the udhiyah, you can't do it on the 5th day. Same thing here. And there's no such thing that I'm not able, unless you are financially skinned to the, I would say, below the level of standard, because any person can borrow money for that, and he should. It's only 60, 70 pounds for sheep. That's it. So it's not really that much money. So you can't just say, I'm not able financially. So even the person who can't really poor could just say to him, he could really, unless it's really poor, that's something else. Just borrow the money and then do it. And if you can't borrow the money, somebody lend you to something else. Right. As for the khitan, the 7th day, this is from Bani Israel. There's no such thing that in the 7th day there's the Jews, yes, they do it the 7th day. It's from the Israeliyat, it's not from the Sunnah of the Prophet. So the hadith which is mentioned later on, Abdullah ibn Abbas, he said 7 from the Sunnah on the 7th day. 7th, he said 7 from the Sunnah on the 7th day of the child. That is, he will be named and he will be circumcised, and he mentioned others. And this is unauthentic at all. It's not really, it's very, very weak. As for the naming, you could name the child from the first day. You could have the name even before the child is born. But the sunnah is to name him on the 7th. But you could name him, no problem. But as for the aqiqah, it has to be on the 7th. As for the shaving, on the 7th. So shaving of the baby, the 7th. Aqiqah was on the 7th. Naming, Prophet Ibrahim, he named his son Ibrahim, well, just at the beginning, from the beginning, not from the 7th. So when is the khitan? Khitan could be done on the first day, second day, third day, fourth day, up to what? Age of puberty. May not delay the circumcision more than the age of what? Puberty. What is the age of puberty? The age of the puberty is not, as people think, 12. The age of puberty is having one of the following signs. Male and female, but the female's got an extra sign. If one of them comes first, then he's an adult or she's an adult. So these are the puberty signs. Number 1, pubic hair. Number 2, wet dream. That's ejaculation. Number 3, 15 years lunar. He has completed 15 years lunar. And he had entered in the 16th. So if he did not have pubic hair or did not have any wet dream, then once he finished his 15 year lunar, and that is almost 15 and a half solar system. Do you understand that? Lunar is less. So when he finishes 15 years Islamically, lunar system, then regardless whether he's got pubic hair or he's got wet dream, he will be an adult. The 4th sign, which is only for the woman, that is menses. She gets menstruation and she becomes an adult. So those are the 4 signs. So you could delay the circumcision until that he is just before he reaches puberty, but not after that. I'm asking, which is better? Young or is it older?
Young.
Young. Even the first day would be the best. There is an Islamic hospital in our country. It's called the Islamic Hospital. Islamic Hospital. It's called Islamic Hospital. If your child is being born there and he's a boy, you will receive the boy, with a package, full package, mashallah, circumcised. They will not even consult you. Give it to you circumcised. So they will not even feel it because he's a baby. Baby is crying anyway. He cries for the circumcision, you're not circumcised. So that is the best. Now we have understood the khitan. As for the women, only in the hot countries, when it grows longer, the clitoris, that's when it is the circumcision becomes compulsory. And there was at the time, the Prophet of Allah, a woman whom she used to be khafidah, circumcised for the woman. Prophet of Allah used to give her some instruction. So he said to her, اخفضي ولا تنهكي فإنه أنظر للزوج فإنه أنظر للمرأة وأحظى للزوج. For verily, he said, cut. He said, a shimmy, slight cut. Don't go down too much. Because it is better for the woman in terms of that her lust will be reasonable. And also, if you cut too much, it's not good for the husband because the woman, she will not have the lust needed to have the marital relationship with her husband. So that is for the sisters who say it is in the hot countries, the Africans, and it's actually, these days they call it barbaric, you know that? Barbaric for the women, but not barbaric for the men. Do you know why? Because alhamdulillah, there were Jews amongst us. And the Jews are protecting the circumcision. If the Jews were not circumcising, it would have been barbaric as well to circumcise the males as well. But the protection is coming from the Jews' religion. They're protected, so they're being protected. So, Jazakumullah khairan for protecting our khitan. Otherwise, we will not be allowed. And they know, medically speaking, the circumcision is much healthier. They know that. Because when you don't have circumcision, then the dirt will come in, and infections and all of that. and you could actually have it done by the NHS free. If you go to the NHS and you go to the GP of yours and tell him, okay, and you tell the GP that you've got infection, he might refer you to have it done for free. Okay? Now the Christians, it's just Mr. Paul had changed their religion to make it not, required as a Christian to have circumcision. It's Mr. Paul's religion. It's Paulism. It's not, okay, Jesusism. It's not Isa. As for Isa, it's in their Bible, he was what? Circumcised. So if you want to follow Isa, why don't you circumcise yourself? Why don't you follow Mr. Paul? It's Paulism. You want Isism. He circumcised himself. He was circumcised. Right. Now we're coming to the beard, and we'll include the moustache with it. Now, the beard.
Leaving the beard to grow. Leaving the beard to grow is obligatory. Shaving it is forbidden, as it is changing the creation of Allah, which is an action of Satan. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has said,
وَلَآمُرَنَّهُمْ فَلَيُغَيِّرُنَّ خَلْقَ اللَّهِ.
Satan has said, indeed, I will order them to change the nature created by Allah. By shaving the beard, one is impersonating women, while the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam cursed the men who impersonate women. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has ordered the beard to be left to grow. His order implies obligation, as is well known. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrated.
No, as well known as full stop. Abu Hurairah, and he said, don't lump together things and make it really sound like. As well known. As in Abu Hurairah narrates, it's a different hadith.
Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrated that the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, cut the moustache and leave the beard, being different from the Magians. Ibn Umar also narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, differ from the polytheists, leave the beard to grow and trim the moustache.
Right. The beard is from the nature of mankind. And if you look at all the prophets, they do have beard. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoke about Musa alayhi salam. When he came back and he saw that the people of his, they started worshipping the Kaaba, they got really annoyed and he started pulling the beard and the head of his brother, Harun. So Harun, he said, Yabna la ta'khud bi lihyati wa la bi rasi. Son of my mother, my brother, don't take my beard and my head down. Because I haven't really ordered them to go and worship the Kaaba. They've done it themselves. So the beard is from the Sunnah. And the beard is a man's beautification. Aisha used to say, وَالَّذِي زَيَّنَ الرِّجَالَ بِاللِّحَى. She makes an oath by Allah by the following: by the one who beautified the men with the beard. These are the natural women, of course. The natural women whom their nature hasn't been polluted. They would regard that the man has to have a beard. But the ones who have no nature, or the nature has been corrupted, then they would say, I would like the man to be as smooth as my face. That's not right. I mean, if you look at the animal kingdom, you'll find that, for example, the lion, it's got a big beard, mashallah. And the lioness, no beard. It shows you the difference as well. In the animal kingdom, the same thing. So the man's beauty is in the beard. And what makes me really upset and provoked and sad, and I don't know what to do, when the youth of ours, they would not put the beard until it became the trend and the fashion. So somebody can't even, clean his beard properly, and he's got maybe, God knows, from lice and fleas inside his beard. They start growing it up, and these people start growing it up, so they will follow the sunnah of those people instead of following the sunnah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So the person these days, he's not actually, I would call himself that he's humane. He's not really following the human trend. He's following an animal trend, or even worse than that. So the Prophet of Allah, when he mentioned those 10 points corresponding to the nature of mankind, he mentioned, the underarms to pluck it, pubic hair to shave it, and the beard to grow it. and the nails to clip it. So look at a person now imagine it in your mind now. Somebody who had his nails never been clipped. Even they borrow some nails, they buy them to make them longer. SubhanAllah. But I have seen the longest nail, which is about 25 centimeters. That's about how many inches? I don't know, it's about 12 inches or something like this. It was really like something like what do you call it? The cork opener? The cork opener. The cork opener is like the winding. Coil. Like a coil. Okay? And he does not move his hand, because if he moves it, he will break. If he knocks something, it will break. So this is like in Guinness Book. If you read it, 25 something. This guy just... And then his mustache is so long that covers his mouth. So every time he wants to eat, for example, he has to have two spoons. One spoon to lift up his mustache, and the other spoon to get the food inside. Because he can't, he's got a bush, fondue it. So he's got this long nail, he's got this long mustache, beard is been shaved. But he's got two other beards, or three. Two in his underarms, and one in the pubic hair. So three beards in the wrong places, and the beard which is on the top has been shaved. So the one in the face is gone in the pubic hair, and part of it is gone in the arms. So you've got bush in the bush there in, mashallah, jungle, okay, where Tarzan can live. He's not a human being, is he? I mean, imagine him, just imagine this person. Wallahi, he does not look a human being. It's long nail, moustache is covering his mouth, no beard, but three beards, two under his arms and one at the bottom. Wallahi, he is not a human being. He is not. You could call him anything, but not a human being. So, the beard, when the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Juzzu sharib, trim the moustache, let go of the beard. How much should I trim the moustache, and how much should I let go of the beard? Because if I let go of the beard, we're not going to be like some of the scholars who say that you should not cut it at all. Because that's not right. And if you go to the extreme, I'll tell you what. If you go to Google it out, Guinness Book, the longest beard. Before I give you the longest beard in the house, into the book of the Guinness Book, let me give you the beard which is mentioned in our books, Islamic history. A person called Diya al-Qazwini. His beard was too long that it would reach his feet. Okay, it would reach his feet. And every time he would sleep, he has to put it in a carrier bag. And every time he rides his camel, it will split in two halves. One half on this side, another half on the other side. It's a long beard. But this one, okay, if anybody's got Google, you could just Google it up. It's called Hans Lange. It's from Germany. Hans Lange. Hans Lange is from Germany. And he was born 1846, Christian date. Died in the 1927, so the 20th century. 1927. It's not Germany, it's Norway. Norway. You know how much is his longest beard? 5.33. 5 meters, 0.33. It's up to where the speaker is. You see that? That's his beard. Yeah, imagine his beard. You can use it as a rope, you can use it. That's, I would say health hazard. He might strangle himself if he sleeps. 5.33. Does that mean the Prophet, when he said, let go of the beard, so this guy embraces Islam and said, don't cut your beard? You can use it as a turban, you can put it on top of his head if he wishes. But that's not right, either. So let's just talk about how long the beard should be then. For verily, Abdullah ibn Umar, every time he makes Hajj or Umrah, he would make a fist. He would grab his beard underneath his chin, and whatever is longer than the fist, he would what? Cut it. We do have a saying, which is a very beautiful saying. Hold on to it. That is from, I've got a second. Let me just get it first. Right, this is a consensus which has been said by Ibn al-Ala rahimahullah, where he says that the qabdah is the right length. Consensus from the scholars. So whatever is more than the qabdah, more than the fist, should be taken. Now when we say the qabdah underneath the chin, you will notice as a man that your beard from the side will be longer than the fist. So you pull the beard down your chin and you put like that. But if you do it like this from the face onwards, it'll be what? Much longer. But when you put it down underneath, so the hair which is growing from the face, from there, it will be longer than the one which is what? From the chin. If you understand what I'm talking about. Okay? So you cut whatever is longer than that. That's the beard of the man. Prophet ﷺ, he had seen two men came from Faris, Persia. Majus, they are fire worshippers. They were letting go of their mustache, shaving their beard. He said to them, who commanded you to do that? Who commanded you to do that? They said, our Lord. And they meant here, Khosros, the leader of Persia. He said, as for my Lord commanded me to let go of my beard and trim my mustache. The opposite. Now trimming the mustache is that you don't really shave it completely. You make a lip. So from the mustache is that to show your upper lip. That's the most important thing. Upper lips to show. So if the lip is covered, that's not right. So you could bring a little miswak, thin one, and start cutting whatever is extra on top of the miswak. And that was being done by the companions. They used to have a little miswak and then they cut, trim whatever is on top to show the redness of your lip. I don't think you'd feel comfortable. Somebody who's got mustache covering his mouth to eat with him. Do you feel comfortable? All the food would just attaches to his mustache, and God knows, when he eats ice cream, his mustache will eat half of the ice cream. طيب. It's not in Al-Ala'i, and it is in the book of Al-Muru of Sheikh Mashhur, Hafidhahullah. We got this. Right. Now we come to the siwak. Siwak is recommended in all the cases, but recommendation will be more emphasized in the following points. My dear boy, sit down to learn. Every time you go like this, you're going to miss something. The siwak is the cleaning of the teeth. And you know, these days we have, even Americans now, they're trying to market the siwak. Have you heard about this? You haven't heard about this, because they don't know it yet. Now we've got American program, if you wish, after this I can give you the clips. American ones. They are now, they've said, we've discovered a tree in Pakistan that's got this, discovered the tree, we've got the tree from 1,400 years ago, more than that. It's called the tree of Al-Arak, it's discovered, you know. And they found out that that tree, that it is actually a natural thing that would clean better than the fluoride. That's the Americans are saying, not me, because you believe Americans more than you believe me. I'm not joking. With the science, Americans will come first. So they say that it's better than fluoride, and the wooden stick is really actually more healthy because it will stimulate the blood when you go to the gum. It's better, subhanAllah, than the brush. Brother, could you just read in our Islam, and then you will know that we know this a long time ago. It's called the arak tree. This is the best. You see, what could be made from any tree, but this arak tree is the best one. Arak really gives you a nice smell. Prophet of Allah used to have the siwak all the time. Before he died, Sallallahu he had the siwak in his hand. So the siwak was in the Prophet of Allah, or the Prophet, I used to say, I always see the Prophet of the siwak on. That means his mouth is always cleansed. And it's very important to have your teeth and your mouth clean. If my mouth is not clean, I think the brother would have difficulty to sit beside me and read. And I'd have difficulty to sit beside him if his mouth is not really right. I'm not joking, by the way. Yesterday I was really playing my Fajr, and there was a person I always avoid to be next to him. this person is an old man, and his mouth, I don't know what's wrong with it, but there's something to do with the gums. You have to go to treat it into the... We've got dentists these days, alhamdulillah, very easy. And avoid, but subhanallah, he happens that I was, there, and he came suddenly. I thought maybe there will be no smell. So the smell was so strong. I tried to tilt my head to the other side, and I had to break my prayer. I left my prayer and then I went, just pretending to make wudu, and then quickly I joined the prayer again. I can't breathe my prayer. I cannot read my Quran because the man is suffocating me. So please, brothers, make sure that your teeth are clean. All Muslims here. And don't exaggerate in the way that when you talk to people, you start talking to people with a mask on. You know the mask on? Some people put a mask to talk to you because you don't want to smell these smells. I mean, this is really offensive. You're offending me when you do that. Some of them, they don't use the mask. When he talks to you, he's putting his face away from you. It's like you're going to hit him. That's as well very offending as well. That's not really right. So this is exaggeration. Some people, they're scared that their mouth will show, so he will put his hand like this when he talks. How are you, brother? Are you okay, brother? That's extremism as well. So this is extremism, and this is extremism. Like that. Why would you do like this? Why would you do like this? So, brother, why would you do like this? Talk to me properly. So don't really exaggerate in that you don't want anybody to smell your mouth or something. So if you have something wrong, which you could know it, you could just go to the dentist. It's nothing to do with cleaning the mouth. Something to do with sometimes the gums. They've got disease in it, gingivitis or something like that. It smells really even worse than the sewage. Horrible.
There's something called halitosis.
Halitosis as well.
Yeah, bad breath. Halitosis.
Yeah, it's to do with whatever, something inside there or between your gums and your teeth, isn't it? So it be treated and they say it will go. And you'll be relaxed. Your wife will be relaxed as well. So it is important to make sure that the Prophet of Allah used to have this siwak being emphasized in the wudu, in the salah, in recitation of the Quran, whenever he enters the house, in the qiyam of the layl. Qiyam of the layl. I'm going to add 6th point as well, whenever he finishes the prayer. Hadith, whenever the Prophet of Allah, he finishes the prayer, he used to have the siwak. Number 7, that is, I'm going to add, whenever the mouth changes the smell, I'm going to add. Number 8, and that is when you are in the knowledge circle. So I've added 3 points as well, which we have proof for them from the hadith. I've added, that is, whenever you finish the prayer. Not just we start the prayer, you finish the prayer. And also, when the mouth smell changes, that is, for example, you wake up in the morning, the mouth smell changes. And also, when you are sitting for seeking knowledge and making dhikr of Allah. One of the hadith that in the number 3, when you recite the Quran, look at that hadith, you see that there, the man would, if he prays, the angels will come behind him, listen to the Quran, and he will get closer and closer and closer until he puts his mouth into the mouth of the person. So every time he recites an ayah, then that will go inside the angel. The hadith started by the Prophet of Allah commanded us with the siwak. So what does that mean? That means for the angel to come and put his mouth into your mouth, it has to be what? Clean, smelling nice. And the Prophet of Allah said, إِنَّ الْمَلَائِكَةَ لَتَتَأَذَّى مِمَّا يَتَأَذَّى مِنْهُ بَنُو آدَمَ. Angels are being harmed from whatever harms human being. Does it harm you when you have a bad smell? It does harm the angel as well. Same thing. So if you eat garlic and onion, you come to the masjid, you're not just going to harm people. Besides, you're going to harm the angels who are going to come into listen to the Quran. You don't like to smell the garlic and the onion. Or whatever the garlic and the onion, the cigarette smells, and then the curry. Okay, the curry, which is a very nice Pakistani food. But when it goes into the clothes, it's really bad smell. Very bad. Very powerful. So if you come to the masjids, which are, for example, where old people goes, you'll find the masjid like a cooking sort of place. It's a kitchen. And that's not right. So you have to make sure that you are cleaning yourself. Your clothes are clean. Everything's clean. Your mouth is clean. Come into the house. It says, Ya Bani Adam, خُذُوا زِينَتَكُمْ عِنْدَ كُلِّ مَسْجِدٍ. O son of Adam, Take your beauty every time you come to the prayer. Beauty is to do with the clothes, to do with the perfume, everything. Your mouth is clean, smelling nice. I don't want to pray beside somebody who's smelling kitchen. I don't want to pray beside somebody who is really horrible in his way he looks, his dirty clothes. He's a mechanic, so he's coming with his grease and all of his dirt, and next to me, I can't pray next to him. So you come with beauty. Very important, akhi. Salah. Your communication with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is better than any interview that you do with anybody. And when the interview happens or takes place, you put on the best of clothes. You look as smart as possible, huh? Very smart. It comes to the meet Allah Azza wa Jal, to meet Allah, you don't bother. That's not right, akhi. Prayer is more priority for you to come with the best of the clothes. When I was on my own, this is just to add on. When I used to be on my own, before I brought my family here, I used to lead the prayer, and I used to cook for myself. I didn't know how to cook that much, and I do eggs and things like this, and fried chips, and that's it. And all of that after that, we'll talk takeaway. So during the winter, Dhuhr and Asr and Maghrib, they come what? Together. There's not even time between them. Hardly. More than 2 hours, no, less than 2 hours. So if I do something frying, as an imam, and I'm telling the people to smell nice, then I have to make sure that I smell nice as well. So if I'm, for example, I'm going to fry chips, potatoes, fry. So I go and I take off all my clothes except for my underwear under the top in the kitchen, because the thobe, if it touches that frying sort of smell, I'll bring it to the masjid, because the masjid was downstairs. I used to live at the top, go downstairs. So I used to take off except for my underwear and the top. And then, because of my beard, the beard catches the smoke. I used to put cling film on it. So wrap myself, wallahi, with cling film on top of my beard. So when I fry, and I could see the oil goes onto the cling film when you fry. The mist and all of that condensation goes onto top of it. So when I finish, I have to take off the cling film, put it in the bin, put my nice clothes, and nothing, no smell whatsoever. Otherwise, if you just pass by the kitchen where your wife cooks and you got a jacket and it's damp, wallahi, you're going to carry the onion of the kitchen, the curry of the kitchen, everything you're going to carry with you to the masjid. I'll tell you what, if the kitchen hasn't been ventilated, or the kitchen door is open, and your bedroom door is open, that smell creeps into the bedroom and attaches itself into the nearest coat or the nearest jacket, and you bring it to the masjid. And brother, you smell, I never been to the kitchen. Yeah, but your door was open and you caught it. Okay? So make sure that you are smelling nice. I haven't really, I'll tell you what, I am very sensitive in smelling. I haven't smelled anything in this community, mashallah. But once I went to one of the masajid to make a sort of opening ceremony for it. Because it's a Pakistani masjid, I warned against the curry. And they were laughing. But now the masjid, I live in it at the moment. I am part of it because I was not living in it. Now I live in it. MashaAllah. No smell. I said to the brothers in church, there's no smell. Since that talk you've given us, we're making now curry breathalyzer. Curry breathalyzer. طيب. Last one, karahat natfu shay. The dislike.
The disapproval of removing grey hairs.
Right, disapproval of removing the grey hair. Now we have a new hadith. Prophet Allah said,
Messenger of Allah said, do not pluck out grey hairs. No Muslim gets a grey hair in Islam except that it will be a light for him on the day of resurrection.
And I'll tell you what, write this addition, which is very good. And Allah will write for every single grey hair that you got a hasana, and He will remove a sayyi'ah. Look at that. For every single grey hair that you've got, Allah will give you a hasana, and He will remove a sayyi'ah, sin. Now everybody's now after having grey hair. Grey hair, that means no, you don't dye grey. No, it grows grey because either your age or because of too many worries. Too much worries, you get grey hair as well. So that is as well So leaving, not to pluck it. But what you should do, you should dye it. Going to the following topic, and that is?
Dyeing grey hair with henna, katam, or other plants, and the prohibition of dyeing in black.
The katam is mentioned here is to change the color of the henna from being extremely reddish into a bit darker, just like a brownish or golden, but it's not really extremely red, like really red it will become, the henna. So that's the katam. Katam is like a plant. And it says the sawad, black is haram. So to dye it with any color. Now when you say henna, it doesn't have to have henna. So any dyes which is on the market, it's no problem. So those chemicals, as long as they're not harmful, okay, so no problem to use them. You could use the men, you could use the women. So the women could, if you want to dye as well, you don't have to look at the men's section. You could go to the women if it's cheaper for you. So the dye is for the person who's got grey hair. Not the dye for a woman or a man who wants to change his color from being black into red or from red into blue. No, not right. It's for the grey hair. So once you have a grey hair, you start dyeing. Dye here is brown, ash brown, medium brown, chestnut, or not green, or blue, because it's not from the colors of the hair. Blue hair, it's not right. Green hair is not right. Pink hair is not right. Okay. And our Shaykh al-Albani is a compulsory. It's not just, he raises that not just being recommended, it's compulsory. Because we want to be different from the Christian, the Jews. And the person who does dye his hair with black, then he had committed a major sin. He will not see the Jannah. So that is the deprivation of the Jannah makes it a major sin. Don't dye your hair with black. The only time where black is allowed is in the army, in the battle. If your army, for example, is full of oldies, old grannies, and the enemy, if they see the old grannies, they will be vulnerable to be attacked. So you could just paint their beards and their hair with black to make them look younger. That is for the command of the commander, it's no problem. So it's for war, it's for necessity. Look at this hadith which is there mentioned. Jabir ibn Abdullah radiallahu anhu said, Abu Quhafa was brought. Who's Abu Quhafa?
Abu Bakr.
The father of Abu Bakr. Abu Quhafa is the father of Abu Bakr. So he was brought on the day of the repossession of Mecca. And his head and his beard was white like the thugama. Thugama is one of the flowers which is really white. Thugama al-bayda. Really white, extremely white. And you know how old Abu Quhafa, when the Prophet of Allah entered Mecca? And I'll tell you what. Abu Bakr is 2 years younger than the Prophet. Prophet of Allah died when he was 63. The repossession of Mecca took place 4 years before 2 years before the death of the Prophet of Allah. So how old was the Prophet of Allah? 61. How old was Abu Bakr? 59. He was 2 years younger. So how old do you think the father of Abu Bakr had? At least 15 years. At least he had 15 years. So how much is that? 74 plus. Could be 75, could be 80, could be 85. Yes? Right. Now let's say the minimum. It's 15 years. He got married. And then we add to the 15, right? That's 74. With the pregnancy 1 year, that's 75. That's the minimum. 75. What sort of women he would be looking for, this man, 75? Would he be looking for women? He's too old now, isn't he? Yet the Prophet of Allah, as soon as he saw him with this, do you know what he said? Fix him up. Wallahi, he said, Aslihu hada. Fix him up. He's like damaged, fix him up. Fix him up. So he said, that is, and I'm boiled in the black. So they made him to dye his hair and dye his beard. Wallahi, the old man, when he gets his hair dyed and all of that, he gets 10 years younger. All of that would reflect into his mood, his feelings, and all of that, into his health. Very hard to convince these old people to go and dye their hair. I'm telling you, very hard. How can I get rid of my grey hair? No way, I want a grey hair. They don't want it, but this is not right. Because the older you are, it gets you more older. become old in yourself and then the disease will attack you. You want to have some resistance to that disease by being youth, or to feel at least like a youth. I had a person who was playing with us volleyball. Okay? Was playing with us what? He's 67. MashaAllah. 67 is jumping like a young man. Caps up, he's smacking the ball very hard. 67. I have a man in the clip, welcome to take it, he's more than the 70. And he's doing acrobatic movement onto the bar, and he's rotating, that even a youth can do it. Subhanallah. From Bosnia or from East. Have you seen it? Okay. We have plenty of video clips to show you after this. طيب. We have finished, alhamdulillah. I'm going to leave you the questions. So we've finished, mashallah. We are on to the what? Etiquettes of stinja. You go to relieve yourself. Etiquette of stinja. Any questions? Fadal. Yeah.
You know, some people, they suffer from incontinence, so they go to the toilet and then they'll dry themselves and use the water, but after about 10 minutes or 5 minutes they get slow discharge again from urine. What should they do? Just
Any person who is suffering from incontinence or flatulence is well the control of the wind. Incontinence is the control of the urine. Flatulence, he can't control his passing wind. Any person like that, we call them Ahlul A'dhar, the people, the excuses. They got excuse, valid excuse. So what they do, they combine the prayers, the combination which is not the true one, which we call it in Arabic al-Jam' al-Suri. It looks combination, but it's not a combination. That is, Dhuhr and Asr and Maghrib and Isha. How? Dhuhr will be pushed at the end of its time, and Asr will be brought at the beginning of its time. So let's say Dhuhr finishes at the moment, let's say 3 o'clock. Yes? No, not 3 o'clock. 2 o'clock. Is it 2 o'clock?
3.
Okay, 2:30. So 2:25 you start praying Dhuhr. And then Asr will start 2:30, so 2:30 will start the Asr. So it's a combination. And one wudu is enough. That's the one way to do it. The same thing with the Maghrib or the Isha. Another way of doing it is to do Dhuhr and so, Asr and so on if you want. But the wudu they will do, they have to do it after the time of the prayer had started. So let's start. What time does the prayer of Dhuhr start? 12:30. Yes? 12 o'clock. Let's say 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock they start wudu. They can't make wudu before. So they do the wudu after 12 o'clock when the Dhuhr starts. That wudu would suffice them all the way until Asr, regardless of how many urine they pass and how many wind they take out. Do you understand that? For Ahl A'dhar. So because he's in incontinence and he's flatulent, or whatever, one of them or the two of them, then as soon as he makes the wudu at the beginning of the Dhuhr, he doesn't need to make it again if he goes to the toilet again and pass window. But once the Asr time starts, he has to make what? Another wudu. So Dhuhr wudu is enough for him to make his prayer, his voluntary prayer, his obligatory prayer, all the way to the Asr. Asr he needs another wudu. Or, as I said, you combine them together, the combination which is not the real one. Push the Dhuhr to the end of the time, bring Asr to the beginning of the time, push Maghrib to the end of the time, bring Isha to the beginning of the time, combine them and make wudu for each of these combination. Is that understood, everybody? Do you have any elaboration on that?
what was his prayer congregation then? Does he miss the congregation on prayer?
No, he doesn't. Combination. If he wants to do it at home, he do the combination, or he would do it individually with the congregation, no problem. So, for example, listen to me, I had this experience. Once I was praying the second row. Not a long time ago. There was a person in front of me. And there was a guy next to me. So when we made ruku', this wind came from the person exactly in front of me. And it's loud. Into my face. Wallahi. After the prayer we finished, the guy started laughing. The one who's next to him said, don't laugh. Don't laugh. Prophet ﷺ naha an al-dhahiki min al-darta. He forbade the person to laugh from the fart, from the passing of the wind. Why is forbidden? Because it's no good. When the person passes wind and somebody laughs, that person would be embarrassed for the rest of his life. They can't, feel shy because every time you laugh at them, you pass wind next to us. That's not right. You're not allowed to laugh. Number two, he said, well, he's continued the prayer. Actually, it could be what? Suffering from that? Flatulence. And he was. When I took him aside and talked to him, he said, I can't have control of my wind. Good. Alhamdulillah. But trying to dampen the sound next time. So nobody would laugh at you. Okay? So the flatulence, alhamdulillah, it's a disease. It comes with the people. They can't control the wind. Now, further.
With removing the pubic hair, do you have to remove it in its entirety, or is it okay to keep it low with like a trimmer?
When we remove the plucking of the underarms or removing the pubic hair, Prophet of Allah mentioned two things. He said plucking the underarms and shaving the pubic hair. Listen to this. He did not say plucking the what? Pubic. Plucking the pubic is not good, because it does affect the area, which is the private area. So don't pluck it. You pluck the what? The underarm. But if you shave the underarm, well, no problem. You shave it. You could use the creams these days that would dissolve it. As for the, says it, do I have to trim it completely? No, you don't have to. If you just leave it a bit, no problem, as long as it's not really long. So when you, for example, you're not going to use scissors, are you, for the underarm, are you? You're going to use a shaver, a razor, yes? That razor will, mashallah. Or you could use a trimmer, like a machine. No problem. No problem, inshallah, whatsoever. Okay? And by the way, when you go to Hajj or Umrah and you want to shave, which is the best, instead of trimming, shaving, it doesn't mean it has to be with the blade, with the razor. It could be done with the machine. The machine which is trimmed, zero. Even leaves like a bit of hair, still this is zero. Nothing. It's called halq. So halq shaving is even with a trimmer. You could do it as long as it leaves nimra sifr. There's nothing. But still the hair will be left. It's not like the, what do you call it in Pakistani razor? Ting. You don't know it. Who's Pakistani here? Nobody?
Everybody.
What is it called?
Is it Patan? Patan is from Pakistan anyway.
Nah, you can't. No, they don't accept that.
No, I know they don't accept that. Fadal ya akhi.
When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْمَحِيطِ قُلْ هُوَ أَذًى. So what is the adha here? The blood or?
When they ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the ayah, يَسْأَلُونَكَ O Muhammad, they ask the Prophet about the mahid. Say that it is adha. Adha means a harm. Adha here, means it's a harm for the human, for the woman, and it is one of her mechanism that it is being built and chipped into her, and her blood, it means, is impure. This ayah was revealed because of the Jews. When they have menses, the women, they put them isolated totally from the people. And the isolation here is, there is not isolation as in, for example, not to intercourse with them. No. The isolation is not to eat with them. They regard them as a beast. And they have turned into a beast during that menses. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala want to abolish this by saying, فَاعْتَزِلُوا النِّسَاءَ, that is, segregate yourself from the women in intercourse, not into body-wise. You could still eat with us. And that is why as soon as the ayah was revealed, when the Prophet of Allah commanded just to intercourse the women during those times, which is about menses, the Jews, they said, this man Muhammad leaving nothing in our religion except he goes and he chooses something else. He leaves nothing in our religion and he would choose what? Something else. We say something, he chooses something else. So that it means the other, it means the impurity. And also it means that it's when you intercourse, it is harmful. You're not allowed to intercourse with the women when they are on their menses. You could do whatever you like as a husband, but you can't intercourse. It is adha. It is a harm. And it's been proven medically speaking, it is harmful as well. Subhanakallah bihamdik ashhadu. Okay, another question.
Well, how to manage between the two hadiths, grey hair, dye it or leave it?
By the way, can I have just ask the sisters that questions? Anyone want to go to the sisters and ask for the papers? Go on. My dear boy, go on, ask. No.
Leave the grey hair for Hasana and race Sayyi'ah, or dye it to make look good. But how can you manage the two hadiths together?
The hadith which says don't pluck it, leave it. Because some people they'll pluck it.
No, but colour with it.
The color is no problem. Still the grey is there because the color is a dye. It's not going to be permanent.
Yeah.
But the dyeing, because we have to be Christian, so different from the Christian and the Jews. Prophet Allah said the Christian and the Jews, they don't die. You know, you feel the priests, when they have grey, they don't die. So we are being commanded to be different from them. So this is an upper level from emulation. Emulation is not to imitate them, but this is now not to be different from them. We and them have grey hair. The grey hair does not distinguish a Christian or a Muslim. It will come to you when you get older, or you get worries. You get the grey hair. So in order to be different from them, Allah told us not to pluck it. We're not allowed to pluck it. Pluck it, look, hasana, sayyi'ah, but to dye it. Do you understand that? So the dyeing, still the hair will be, you get hasana and remove it, because still there the grey hair, but you dye it because you want to be different from the Christian and the Jew. Do you understand that now? Hopefully. Assalamu alaikum. When women reaches a stage of no menses and have facial hair because of hormones, should she pluck or shave the hair from the face? Very good question. Well, I wouldn't say that even if she had reached a stage of no menses, she could have some of the women, even they have their menses, and they do have, hair. The women, they need to know that regardless of who she is, she will have very little soft, tiny hair coming out in the area of the mustache, in the area of the face. That hair, she's not allowed to touch. She's not allowed to pluck. And the nums is not just from the eyebrows. The nums is, which is the curse onto the nums, is on all the facial hair. Whether it's from the eyebrows or from anywhere else. But if the woman, she had hair which is like a beard, I mean she's growing a beard, or growing a mustache, and there is, and in this time we say, because the hadith says, لعن الله النامصة والمتنمصة الفالجة والفالجة المغيرات لخلق الله الحسن. The one who changed the creation, the ones under the curse, the one who changes the creation for the sake of what? Beauty. Now this woman, if she's got beard, some of the scholars said, when she takes the beard, she's not changing the creation of Allah. She's actually restoring the creation of Allah. Because she's a woman, she's not supposed to have a beard. Do you understand that? So if she's got a proper mustache, she plucks it. But a little hair coming from the mouth, or from the mustache area or from the face, she should not touch it. Because the more she touches it, the more it grows. And becomes like wild. Okay? So if it is the case, then she could do it. Otherwise, I would say to the sisters, not just simply because your menses stopped and you have little hair of facial, no. I have seen sisters even specialize in what they call facial and wax and all of that. What they call waxing and facial, little cards being given. So you could really, for example, these days you could put, if you want, like a powder or some color onto the face to make the hair not really showing. Okay? But to start to plucking it, you're going to be under the curse of Allah Ta'ala A'lam. Any other questions?
They use now a laser to get rid of the hair follicles like the women. Can you do that?
Holocaust?
A laser, it burns.
Did you say Holocaust?
No, it's my phrase. Follicles. So they got like a laser treatment. It burns the actual hair follicles so the hair doesn't grow. They get it done on their face and their legs and things like that. Is that okay?
The women, you mean?
Yeah, the women, yeah, they do. It's a laser treatment.
For the hair, which is what?
For their face, moustache, legs, anywhere they want it.
But not in any woman. You mean the woman's got proper hair, but not any woman.
Yeah, but some it's just they do it.
No. the woman, she should not really, like the normal hair, which is that there's no hair, it's just like a little tiny. Okay. But if it is really to do with big hair, yes, treatment like this would be even better than having it, because it will be, permanent treatment.
It lasts longer.
But let me tell you something, everything causes side effects.
That's what I thought, yeah, because you're burning the follicles,
Yeah.
so you're stopping the hair coming through.
It will have a side effect.
That's what I thought, yeah.
So you have to be careful with these issues as well. I cannot really pass a fatwa on something which I'm not sure of, but as I said, to shave the hair with plucking it or shaving it with a razor or all of that, for the woman, as long as it is not really the haram, which is, as I said, she's got beard, she's got a moustache, then, yeah, but normal hair, I just say, every woman, she's got little hair. It's not, it has to be, she has to have a microscope to see it, The woman should not be bothered about that, okay? As I said, some of the colors you could put now with the face, it will be taken out, khalas, you can't see it. Right, alhamdulillah, subhanakallah, alhamdulillah, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.